If you feel overwhelmed by your to-do list, here's how you can stop just being busy and start making real progress. Ever since I started sharing my weekly goals on my stories, people keep asking me how I managed to consistently hit the goals I set out at the start of the week. The answer lies in a simple process I learned from one of the best books I've read over the past few years, which is Oliver Burkeman's 4,000 Weeks, which refers to the average human lifespan. And one of the key points that Burkeman makes is that everyone has a long to-do list. And it sounds kind of morbid, but the chances are, when you're 80 and when you're on your deathbed, you're probably still going to have a really long to-do list with unattended tasks and unanswered emails to reply to. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if every single person you know, when you ask how they are, they say they're busy. And if anything, over time, we've just got even busier. And that's despite the plethora of time-saving inventions and devices, things like vacuum cleaners, washing machines, AI, and so on. If anything, we're just busier now. Because the truth is, you're never going to get through absolutely everything and completely clear your to-do list. So real productivity isn't just about getting more things done in a certain period of time. It's actually about deciding what not to do and choosing what you're actually going to do and building a system to ensure that you actually get the key needle movers done. And that's why I'm such a big advocate for Oliver Burkeman's fixed volume approach to productivity, whereby you focus on what you're actually going to get done and you choose what you're not going to do. What this involves is having two different to-do lists. Now, one is open, and what that means is the volume doesn't matter or the length of it doesn't matter. It's just a list of all the things that you might need to do. And this is probably what you already have and what most people think of when they think of a to-do list. Now, the issue with this completely open, unordered to-do list is that the real needle movers get lost among a long list of all the things that you could do. And so if we're being honest, what tends to happen is if we go onto that to-do list, we just kind of do the things that feel easy or the things that we fancy. But sometimes there's something we're putting off which is really going to make the biggest difference in helping us achieve our goals. So the key thing to do then is, as well as having this long to-do list, which is essentially just a record of all the things that need to be done at some point, you then make a second list. Now this is a fixed volume, closed to-do list, and this is the real game changer. On this list, depending on who you are and how you like to run your weeks, you want to have maximum 3, 5, or 10 things. For me, I split my life into different areas and I'll have max 1 or maybe 2 things per area. And this is the short list of key priorities. So if you'd like to make this, you've got to follow 3 simple steps. The first one I like to do is to split my life into the different areas. You don't have to do this, but I find it really easy to think of my goals and my actions in this way. So I split my life into sort of 8 different areas, and you can do the same, splitting it into anywhere between 5 and 10 different areas of your life. Then the second step is to go ahead and create that closed list, that fixed volume list of the key priorities. And to do this, I would recommend using future pacing to ask yourself, for each area of life, what would you most like to have completed by the end of the time period you're planning for? So I like to do it weekly. So say, okay, for this area of my life, maybe it's my career, maybe it's my physical health, maybe it's a certain relationship. What would I most like to have done by the end of the week? What you're essentially doing therefore is a mini Pareto analysis where you say, okay, out of all the different tasks, what is that key 20% which is going to lead to 80% of my outcomes? You don't necessarily need to have a task for each area of life, but I would definitely say try not to have any more than, 10 for a week. Because the idea is if you have 1 or max 2 per day, it's a lot easier to be consistent and actually get these things done. So start small. And third, this step is crucial and one that most people miss. You want to then schedule these into your calendar. I'll cover scheduling in greater detail in another video, but there's a great quote by Stephen Covey, which is, the key is not to prioritize your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. So once you've got this shortlist, what I like to do is then schedule these into my diary. I use my phone calendar and do them in a different color or maybe put an asterisk by them. You just want some kind of method to show that these are your key priorities, which I'm not gonna deprioritize and which you're definitely gonna achieve by the end of the week. So for me, I just go on my phone and put these in at the start of the week. I put little asterisks, I put them in a different color, and I know on any given day, right, that is my key priority. So when you apply this fixed volume approach to productivity, I tend to find, both with myself and with my clients, there are 3 big benefits that people start to notice. And the first one is that it feels better. it's easier for you to feel like you're ahead. What you're essentially doing is under-promising and over-delivering for yourself. Now, many people, when they come home from work, they say, right, I'm gonna gym, and then I'm gonna learn a language, then I'm gonna practice my guitar, then I'm gonna bulk cook for 10 days, I'm gonna call my family members, and then I'll be in bed by like 9 p.m. And all these things, we say we wanna do them, and it doesn't happen, we feel bad. So if instead you start smaller with a shorter list, but actually have the key priorities that which you actually get done, we tend to just feel better about it. And crucially, you're actually getting the key stuff done. So the first thing is that often it just makes you feel a lot better about getting things done rather than being overwhelmed by just a completely disorganized to-do list with no priorities at all. Second, you can then avoid decision fatigue. On any given day, if you plan this at the start of the week, you know what your top priority is. So you can't really excuse yourself and be like, okay, you know what, I'm just gonna do whatever it is. You get to the end of the week and you haven't done the one thing you said. If you pre-plan this, it just makes decision making so much easier. And finally, what this also helps with is essentially future-proofing. In any given week, there's gonna be unknown unknowns. Things crop up, there's emergencies or meetings or things you hadn't foreseen. And often what happens is we just deprioritize suboptimally. Now with this method, especially if you have max 1 or maybe 2 things per day, ideally 1, what happens is when there is some kind of emergency that pops up, you can deprioritize the other things as you know, right, this is my key priority. I like to normally have my key priority scheduled for the morning if possible. It's that kind of eat the frog quote that Mark Twain spoke about, but if you leave it right to the end of the day, then you don't leave yourself much wiggle room. But essentially what that means is you can get the big things done regardless of whether new things pop up. So that is how fixed volume productivity works. I would say to kick off, I would use a cadence of planning weekly, and I would say that it takes me about 20 minutes each week, and the 20 minutes I spend quickly reviewing the wins from my past week and how I got on against my goals. And then scheduling in, or planning that shortlist and then scheduling them in, is probably the highest value use of my time in the whole week. I like to do it on a Sunday evening. A lot of my clients do it on a Monday as well, so find a time that works best for you. So if your to-do list does feel overwhelming, I would strongly recommend you try this fixed volume approach to ensure that you start getting more done and making more progress towards your goals, all while doing less. So create that shortlist, schedule them in, and let me know how you get on.